Have you ever had a thought like, what will people think? What if I fail? I'm too old to do that. That's going to be a ton of work. You have a vision, you have a goal, you have something that's important to you, and you start moving towards that goal. And in the beginning, not all of you resonates with your capacity or your deserving to achieve that goal. These are what we call limiting beliefs. Beliefs about ourselves that aren't necessarily true, but they limit us from living into our full potential. When we're working with these limiting beliefs, it's really important that we recognize them so we can repattern them and release them so that we can achieve our vision. The first step of that is normalizing them. It's really easy to look at people who have achieved great levels of success and think, oh, well, they never had self-doubt. They didn't worry about failure. They didn't care what people thought. And that's just not true. Every single person on this planet has self-doubt. They have beliefs about themselves that are limiting them to live into their full potential. That voice, or what those beliefs are, may change person to person, but we all have them. So when you're thinking about your own limiting beliefs, I believe one of the first steps is normalizing it's okay to have these thoughts. It's okay to have these doubts. The power is in what do I do with them? And for most of us, if we're not aware of these limiting beliefs and we don't have the tools and the structure of support around us, those limiting ideas of ourselves win. We think, yeah, you know what? The idea of failure is way too painful, so I'm not even going to try. I care too much about being criticized or being judged, so I'm just going to play safe. I don't believe that I really can achieve that goal or that dream, so I'm not going to really go after it. And most of this happens at a subconscious level, but we hold ourselves back. On the other hand, people who have gone on to accomplish their goals and their dreams, they've learned to have those limiting beliefs where the limiting beliefs don't have them, which means it's taking conscious control of those limiting beliefs, repatterning them and replacing them into a more expansive idea. So first of all, what's required is having a crystal clear vision. And there's lots of videos on this channel around developing a vision and how to do that in a powerful way. So we have a vision. And then as we're in service of that vision, we're taking action on that vision, we're noticing what we're noticing. And we start to notice the limiting beliefs, those thoughts that start to rise up that are unlike our vision. And as we become aware of those thoughts, we normalize it. Okay, this just means I'm about to grow. Here's this old idea of myself or my limitations. And now I get to look at this limitation and remind myself that I am so much more than that I am capable of more than I know, that there's a power breathing me that is greater than any condition or any circumstance. So we notice the limiting belief. And instead of making that limiting belief really big or giving it the power, we want to give the vision the power and ourselves the power. And so we make that limiting belief smaller, we make ourselves bigger. And then the next step is to replace that thought with something that's more expansive. So up until now, maybe I was afraid that I would fail, but now I know that, you know what, failure is part of the journey, and I would have rather tried than have the regret of not trying. I used to believe that maybe I was too old to accomplish this dream, but now I know I have lots of life within me. I used to maybe have this idea that I was too concerned what people would think. But now I know that my vision is worth me really only caring what's important to me and putting other people's opinions aside. And so we replace that thought with one that's more empowering and more expansive. And the final step when we're repatterning these limiting beliefs in service of our vision is to take an action step. Those limiting beliefs want you to play small. They don't want you taking action. They want you staying inside of your comfort zone. So the moment you notice what you're noticing, you notice that limiting belief, you remind yourself that you are so much more than that limiting belief. You replace it with a more expansive thought, something from your vision of who you truly are. And then you serve it with action. What's one step I can take in service of my dream? And as you take that step, you start to install a new, more empowering self-image. And your vision just won, and that limiting belief has a little bit less power over you. Know that as you are moving towards your vision, you're going to hear from that little voice. It's going to have something to say about it. You have the power to repattern it in service of your vision. Take conscious control, override it, serve it with action, and that will take you all the way into your vision. I'm Stacey Berger, and here is to you living a life you love.